friends, it is Natalie, and we are here for a very long overdue Reese Witherspoon book club review. We're going to see what she's been picking since September until recently November. We're going to talk about her adult book club. We're going to talk about her young adult book club. And then the more that you might have seen on that thumbnail, we're going to be talking about the books from the last several months for Oprah's Book Club 2.0, for Emma Roberts' Belatrist Book Club, and for Jenna Bush Hager's Read with Jenna Book Club. So we have a lot of book clubs over several months, which means we have a lot of books to cover, so let's get started. The September pick for Reese Witherspoon's book club was The Last Story of Mina Lee. This book has kind of two main characters. We have Mina Lee, and then we have her daughter, Margot. Now, Margot is 26, she lives in a different city, and she's constantly calling her mother and not getting an answer. And so since she's going down to LA anyway with a friend, she decides she's gonna stop in just to make sure that her mother is okay. Unfortunately, her mother is really not okay. Her mother has passed away and is dead on the floor, and now Margot is trying to figure out what the heck happened. The story goes back and forth between Margot and her mother, Mina Lee, so we go back and forth in time. Mina Lee was an immigrant from Korea. She was a war orphan, and she comes to this country basically knowing nobody and has to make it on her own. So as we're reading about Mina Lee trying to make it on her own, we're also watching Margot try to figure out what the heck happened. The police say, you know, it was natural causes or whatnot, but she thinks there might be some foul play, and so that is where the story goes. Now, at first I was really excited that we were going to have a book that was kind of historical fiction, but also had like a murder mystery element, but this book, I don't know, for me was only 3 stars. There were times during the book that I was very interested in what was going on, and there were times where I got a little bit bored. But if you want to read a book that is very truthful about what it's like to be an immigrant in this country, then I would definitely recommend it. But if you're going in thinking, oh, this is going to be like a fast-paced murder mystery kind of thing, that's not what this is at all. It's kind of a finding who you are kind of a book. And like I said, 3 stars is not a bad rating, but that's what I gave it. Now, her October pick was His Only Wife, and I really loved this book. Our main character is Afi. She lives in Ghana. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Ghana. And she's in a very weird predicament. She is put into an arranged marriage where she literally, when she has the wedding, the man is not there. The groom is not there to marry her. So she gets married kind of by herself. And she's been thrust into this arranged marriage because the man that she's marrying is with a woman that his family does not approve of, and they're hoping that if he marries this woman that he'll lose interest in the other woman and that everything will be okay. Afi's family is really in a situation where financially they need her to marry this guy because he does have a lot of money. And I just really got connected with her character right away. There's good and bad things going on. She does get to move to a nice city where she gets to kind of pursue her dreams as a seamstress and do fashion school and work on her fashion line. But at the same time, you see her struggling because she wants to meet her husband, and then she sees her husband some of the time, and unfortunately she does fall in love with him, and she's just totally struggling with, you know, am I your wife? Am I not your wife? Do you love me? Do you not love me? What is happening? But I love the way her character grew, how she grew more self-esteem, and just the journey she went through. And I don't want to give too much away, but I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was wonderful. Now, the November pick, which I have not read yet, is Group. Now, this is supposed to be a nonfiction book. It's about a woman who was a top student in her law school. She's had an eating disorder, and she's driving around contemplating her own death. And this, I guess, is when she realizes she needs help. She ends up joining this psychotherapy group, and this psychotherapy group, I'm assuming, is going to make a huge difference in her life because she decided to write a book about it. I have not started it yet. I'm very interested to see where it goes. I really prefer fiction books when it comes to Reese Witherspoon's book club, but I have had several, surprises where it's nonfiction and I like it, so I'm hoping that this will be something I enjoy, and I can't wait to tell you about it next month and whether you should pick it up. Now, let's talk about Reese's young adult book club. Her September young adult book club pick was Furia. Now, our main character is named Camilla, but she's known as Furia on the soccer field. She lives in Argentina, and she kind of has to secretly play soccer. Her brother is a big soccer star, and the parents are so proud of him, but her parents don't think that a girl should play soccer. In fact, her father is quite abusive. So like I said, she's kind of playing soccer on the down low until she gets the opportunity to play soccer in a way that could really just make her future wonderful. I don't want to give it away, but it was really good. I found myself really enjoying the character. I thought she was a very strong character for young girls to read about. Now, I usually don't really like books about sports. I'm not a sports person, but this one was really, really good. I was surprised. I actually was not looking forward to it, knowing it was about soccer. But luckily, I did enjoy this one, and I gave this one 4 stars. Now, the October young adult pick for Reese Witherspoon was Fable, which luckily came in one of my book boxes. Now, I haven't had a chance to finish this. I have started it, but I will talk about this and the November pick in next month's Reese Witherspoon Book Club review video. So our main character is Fable. 4 years ago, her father abandoned her on an island, and she's basically had to rely on all the things her mother taught her to survive. And her goal is to get off this island, and she encounters another character named West, who from what the synopsis says is going to be not who she thinks he is. Now, I've only read, you can see I'm not a whole lot, but I can't wait to finish it. I think it's going to be a quick read, and like I said, I will let you know next month whether I think it's something you should pick up. And then her November young adult book club pick was A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. So our main character is Lila. She lives in Miami, and her parents are basically going to send her off for 3 months to Winchester, England to stay with some family friends because they're concerned about her mental health. And she's really not happy about it. She misses Miami. She had plans, and she's very miserable in England until she meets a tea shop clerk named Orion, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who is going to maybe show her what England is all about or bring her out of her shell. I'm not sure, maybe help her with her mental health. I have not even read page 1, but that's what I got from the synopsis so far. I think it's a beautiful cover, and like I said, with the other books, I will let you know if I think this is a good pick for you next month. So now that we've talked about the Reese Witherspoon Book Club, let's talk about what the Read with Jenna Book Club has been up to for the last few months. Now in September, Jenna picked Transcendent Kingdom by Gyazi. And I really, really like this book so much. The main character in this book is Gifty. She is also from Ghana. I've been reading a lot about that country recently. She is a 6th year PhD student in neuroscience. And her family is living in America. They moved to America when she was young, and she is trying to use science to figure out why her brother died of an overdose, so she's studying addiction, why her mother is so depressed, so she's studying depression, and she's basically trying to find answers through science. And I got attached to this character very early on and really did not want to put this book down. It really was excellent, a definite 5 stars. Now, the October book for Read with Jenna was called Leave the World Behind, and wow, this book was really different. And this book doesn't have like one main character, it has multiple characters. So Amanda and Clay and their 2 children decide they're going to go on a beach trip. I believe they're in the Hamptons because this book is about New York. And they're enjoying the beach house that they are renting when late one night they get a knock on the door, and it's a black couple who they're basically saying, hey, this actually is our house that you're renting, and we had to leave the city because there are things going down that we don't know if it's like, you know, the end of the world, there's power out everywhere, there's just weird things happening, and we need to come home. And so these people are kind of forced to live with each other as they're trying to figure out what is happening in the world. Is this Armageddon? And I love the way these characters at first are obviously very awkward around each other, and yet they're dealing with something so serious, and just, I don't want to ruin it for you, but just lots of bizarre things that are happening that are just scaring everybody into thinking maybe it's the end of the world. And I know you might be like what? Like what? I don't want to tell you, but what, power outage is one of them, but there's some other stuff, really crazy stuff that starts happening that makes everybody really, really scared. So I enjoyed it, very different from anything else I've ever read. I guess I would give it 4 stars. Now, Jenna's November pick, which I have not read yet, is White Ivy by Susan Yang. And the tagline is, Ivy Lynn is a thief and a liar, but you'd never know it by looking at her. So Ivy is a Chinese immigrant. She grows up in a low-income housing development in New York. From the synopsis, it sounds like she has a very tiger mom, but she has a special relationship with her grandmother, who I think might actually teach her how to steal things or how to survive with stealing things. Not too sure. That's kind of, the synopsis was a little, I wasn't sure, but I think that's what it is. I think grandma's gonna teach her how to steal. And meanwhile, as she's growing up, she has a crush on a rich boy, and then it says, you know, we go further into the future, and she has become successful, and she bumps into the sister of this rich guy she always had a crush on, and she thinks, oh, maybe this is destiny, maybe I can get him now. And then it says another man from her past also shows up and kind of is getting in the way, and she has to maybe choose between the two. I know I'm not giving a great synopsis here because obviously I have not read it yet, but that's the gist of what I got when I read the inside panel without telling you too much. So I will definitely let you know next month if I think you should read this book. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Oprah's Book Club 2.0. Now, for those of you who have seen my celebrity book club reviews before, I've explained that Oprah doesn't have like a monthly book. She probably has a book like once every 2 to 3 months, and she changes it up a bit. Right now, she's having where she's doing a series of lots of different books all at once that she's calling the books that get me through. So I definitely would recommend checking out the Oprah Book Club 2.0 Instagram account so you can see all the different books she's recommending right now. But the last book that she recommended as like the only book that they were following at the time was Cast. Now I ended up reading this on my Kindle, so I don't have a copy of it. And wow, this book was very controversial. It does talk about the caste systems of like India and what the caste systems were like during Nazi Germany. But when it talks about our country, it really is a book about white versus black people. So I see this book as like some people will love and then some people will maybe get angry if they don't really agree with what the author is saying. I think the author did a really great job of letting us know things like I personally didn't know, and there were a lot of ideas that I agreed with, and there were some ideas I was like, I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but I'm one of those people, I love to hear other people's point of view, especially when it comes to controversial topics. And this is what I'll say. I know I said this about a past book, but I know right now our country is very polarized. If you feel comfortable reading books that talk about racism, then I definitely recommend you read it and see what you think about it. If you're somebody who you feel very triggered right now and you're like, I don't want to read a book about race, then I would save this book for another time. I don't rate books that are nonfiction because nonfiction is just a weird kind of genre to rate. But hopefully I've told you enough for you to know whether it's something you might be interested in. And because Oprah is now promoting so many books for this, the books that helped me through segment, I decided I would go back and pick one of her past books from 2.0. And I picked American Dirt. Our main character is Lydia. She lives in Mexico City and she runs a bookstore. And even though she knows that they're not going to sell very well, she ends up putting a lot or stocking her store with a lot of her favorite books. And then one day a man comes in and he's picking books that are some of her favorite books, and she is kind of like, wow, okay, we like the same kind of books. And so they get to know each other. She finds him very charming, but she doesn't realize at the time that he heads the biggest drug cartel in the city. And she's, I'm assuming, telling her husband all of this, and I think over time she realizes what he really does. And her husband, from my understanding, writes a tell-all about this man. And now, because this tell-all actually gets published, her family, they're like now on the run for their lives. So that sounds fascinating. I'm really interested to see where this goes. It sounds, like it could be very, very scary. So yeah, I will let you know next month if I think you should read it. Now moving on to Emma Roberts' Belatrist Book Club picks. So for September, she picked The Lightness. Our main character is Olivia, and the person she adored the most in the world was her father. And her father went away to a mediation retreat and never came home. So she finds out there is a summer program for troubled teens, so she decides to go to kind of investigate and see what this retreat center is all about, hoping that she can maybe find her father, or at least find out what happened to her father. I know I've said before that this book has been compared to The Craft, which is a movie about some teenage girls who are into witchcraft, and I kind of see why they have that parallel, because in this case, Olivia finds a group of girls who are very into seeing if they can do some supernatural things. The number one thing they want to do is figure out how to levitate. And it's very, very interesting. I know I always say, oh, this book is so different from anything else I've ever read before. But once again, this book is really different from anything I've ever read before. I did really enjoy it. I liked the mood, I liked the atmosphere, and I gave it 4 stars. Really quick, if you are enjoying this video and would like to see more, please hit subscribe and hit that notification bell, especially hit that notification bell because I do not have a regular upload schedule. And definitely give me a like if you like the content. So let's move on to Emma Roberts' book club pick for October, which was We Ride Upon Sticks, which I thought was a perfect book for October. Now, I know I said earlier I really don't get into books about sports, but this is a little different. When they say We Ride Upon Sticks, they're talking about field hockey sticks, and then they're also kind of talking about witches, like broomsticks. So we have a field hockey team that really wants to go all the way, and they stumble into some kind of supernatural things they can do to help them become winners. And because my sister was a field hockey player and I used to go to all of her games, that's the one sport I think I can say I'm really interested in, that and gymnastics. But this is a really fun book to see them, using the kind of magic they find and also kind of dealing with the repercussions of the magic that they found. And I highly recommend this book. This was a 4-star. And the November book for the Belletrist book club is the collected stories of Shirley Hazard. Now, this book has 28 short stories in it, and I would be a little hesitant if it wasn't for the fact that Reese Witherspoon, I believe in August, did a book that was full of short stories, and I actually really enjoyed it. And so I actually had said, I want to start reading more books with short stories. So that makes me really excited to be able to jump into a book, especially one that has 28. Maybe I'll do one a day like I did before. But thank you so much for watching. I will tell you why I was gone for those who are interested. It wasn't anything bad. I know being gone for a month, a lot of people were messaging me, asking me, are you okay? Did you have some kind of complication from your surgery over the summer? And it's not that at all. It's been very good. I got a position as a long-term sub for this amazing second grade class. And when I'm teaching, I cannot film during the week because basically when I'm done teaching for the day, I'm done. I have no energy left. So that leaves only the weekends to film. And I don't know what it has been, but it seems like every weekend for the past month, something has happened where I can't film. From we had a death in the family to me throwing my neck out, just craziness. Like every time I said, I'm gonna film this Sunday, something traumatic would happen. So I'm very happy that I actually got to film today. And thank you so much for the people who reached out to make sure I was okay. I definitely was, for the most part, except for some of the bad things that happened. And things hopefully are calming down a bit, knock on wood. So I hope to be putting out videos more regularly like I used to, like I try to do at least one a week. Once we get to where I'm not teaching, I have more time, I'm going to try to do some more. I don't want to just do a best books of 2020 like I did last year. I saw a few channels that would do like the best sci-fis of 2019 or the best young adults of 2019. I was like, I like that. I like breaking it down by genre. Not that I won't still do a best of for 2020 and a worst of for 2020, but I think I might do some additional videos if I have the time. I might be saying this and that might not happen, but I'm hoping to do that. I believe my next video next week will be the start of a wrap-up since I have not wrapped up, I think, since June. Probably have to break this into 2 parts because I'm looking at all the books I've read. I keep them on a coffee table and it's like, looks like there's like 50 or 60 books over there. So maybe we'll break it up into 25, 30 books per wrap-up, which is still a lot of books. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's good to be back and I'll check you out next time. Bye.